So fair warning for this video, it's gonna be me rambling about a mechanic in a game that doesn't exist. There will be some designs for new Pokemon in the video, but for the most part it will be just talking about a part of Ostara in life, Pokemon Farm. So Pokemon Farm is unlocked around the time we defeat Beast Titan Magikarp and the second gym in the desert. Called back to your starting town in Osside City, the professor, who also happens to be me, and your friend Molly would give you this plot of land, here on the vast plains. This older rundown farm would be where you start your Pokemon Farm adventure. Later on it could be updated and expanded with the help of the first gym leader Fiona. So what is Pokemon Farm exactly? It'd be a combination of Stardew Valley and Pokemon, of course. And it comprised of a gameplay loop that had started as quite the investment, and as you got further into the game it would automate. In the game, in Ostara, money is much more scarce and certain items can't be found in the overworld, so you'd have to use Pokemon Farm to get that bread, both literally and figuratively. So you'd be dropped in the farm with some seeds and your pal Quarkar, who would help you get more seeds, and be introduced to the various aspects of the farm. You'd learn about the energy system, similar to Stardew, but you wouldn't just conk out if you ran out of energy, but instead be unable to work on the farm till the next day. You could still go out into the world and do everything else. There'd also be seasons, and each of them linked to the 4 legendaries based on the seasons. Summerell, Ormtoru, Sprinsage, and Wintravel, each of them having special events where they would visit your farm each season. And of course each season would come with new crop types and changes to the Pokemon who'd be able to work on the farm without getting too low energy and not being able to work as well. So Legends Arceus had this amazing thing about the town where Pokemon you caught could be employed to sort of help people around the town and even on your own crops. This is kind of the same basis and same idea I had, but it goes a bit deeper for Pokemon Farm. Each Pokemon you catch would start at a farm level of 1, and as they work on the farm, their stats would increase. These stats are efficiency, morale, protection, repairing, and farming, and each of these stats would be different between all the Pokemon and the types. Efficiency as a stat corresponds to a Pokemon's general ability to do any task and is one of the more important stats, next to morale. Morale is a general stat that works sort of like HP. Once a Pokemon's morale falls to 0 on a day, they can do no more, but giving them food and just taking care of them brings that morale back up, but eventually most Pokemon will probably fall to 0 morale during a day. It's not a bad thing for them to fall to 0 morale, they won't faint or anything, but they do have to sleep. Protection is a Pokemon's general stat for fighting and using traps during night raids, which we'll get to later in the video. Repairing is a Pokemon's ability to repair and heal structures and buildings on their own, such as the fences around the farm. This helps so that you don't have to do everything around the farm. And farming is a broad stat that allows Pokemon to take better care of higher level types of crops. Of course, it doesn't just stop there. Each Pokemon type also has a positive and negative ability. Dual-typed Pokemon have both types positive and negatives, but only half the effectiveness of both. So let's blitz through all the types and their traits. Normal type is a jack of all trades. They have no positives or negatives. As part of the dual type, it would remove the other type's negatives, making normal type very handy with dual types on the farm. Water types will help water plants, regardless of if they are assigned to it or not, and during rain they have an increased motivation to do that kind of thing. However, during harsh sunlight their efficiency is halved. Fire types are special, as they'll use special cooking stations that you can make to make powerful food items for you, provided you have the items in the cooking station. Inversely though, during the night their stats are lowered due to needing the sun. Grass types are special when harvesting crops. There's a chance to tier up the crop. Much like how in Stardew there's silver, gold, and rainbow tier crops. Grass types have a significant disadvantage when repairing though, and unless they're part of the steel type, they usually cannot repair at all. Bug types help reduce random other bug types coming onto the farm during the day and night to eat crops, and will sometimes help spread plants around the farm through pollination. However, they are normally found to have lower farm stats and are generally bad at raids. Dark types boost the power of traps during raids and make other dark types during those raids better, but cause faster morale drain to non-dark types because of their evil presence. Dragon types are powerful raid Pokemon, causing an intimidation effect to enemies, while simultaneously increasing ally morale. But the cult doesn't agree with them, lowering their morale harshly and giving them a chance to get sick, further lowering morale. Electric types keep things that require electricity powered, while also acting like a lightning rod during storms. But they're quite needy, requiring that same electricity for food or suffering lower morale. Fairy types left to their own device will randomly transform crops into the highest tier of item. But as fairy do, they suffer morale drops if left with too many automated devices around. They like the whimsical and natural, after all. Fighting types are powerful in raids and increase the raid's morale and efficiency stats of allies, but only in the raid. They're just generally bad at everything else. Flying types, while left in rest, will randomly produce high quality eggs that sell for high and give you and other Pokemon boost to energy and morale. But if they attack during raids, it can produce bad eggs, which you need to pay to remove or suffer your Pokemon have sickness and morale drops. Ghost types, much like fighting types, are great at raids, causing a mass fear effect to enemies and allies who aren't ghost types. But they're also bad at most other aspects of farming. Have you ever seen a ghost farm? Ground types will randomly till soil for you. The higher their farming stat, the more they'll do it during a day, also increasing the quality of crops. But in the rain, they lose efficiency and just in general move slower. Rock types also suffer in rain, but they help break rocks on the farm, and turn them into rare materials and items and even fossils. Ice types are rarely used, however in winter they gain double stats, or on snow days triple their stats. However during summer and harsh sun, they have their stats halved. Poison types work similar to bug types, causing other invasive bugs to be dissuaded from the farm, and doing more damage to bugs during raids. However, other Pokemon have a chance to get sick if around them for too long. Psychic types have the special ability to tell you when raids will happen on a night, and during raids may temporarily turn enemies to allies, but they have big brains, small muscles, and laborious tasks can cause them to get sick. And finally, Steel types are great raid defenders, able to repair traps and other structures rapidly, and giving a big boost to structures' hit points at the end of the day. However, they have terrible stats for farming. Alright, so that's all the types and their pluses and minuses. Your farm size would denote the amount of Pokemon you could have assigned to the various tasks. Pokemon assigned to rest would be a different cap, because this would be how you get those materials that Scarlet and Violet had. Delicious Lechonk steaks. But let's go on to the 4 Pokemon in the video that are essentially legendaries. You get them for completing certain tasks. So let's go through each of the 4 like we normally do and talk about how you'd get them. First is our friendly friend, Quokka, a Pokemon you'd have from the moment you get the farm. Quokka is special because it would randomly provide you with seeds to plant, so you wouldn't have to always buy them all the dang time. Once you have built enough automation on the farm, your friend Molly would return to the farm with something special. An upgrade for Quokka which would allow it to evolve. The idea for Quark Arbor was based on a mixture of sort of a biodome from sci-fi, and where someone took the general idea of Torterra and made it into a robot. A weird inspiration as well were these quokkas from this Australian insurance ad, keeping the familiar tone of the previous evolution, but making it look more high-tech and capable of its primary function. Maybe while on the farm it would have random small bird Pokemon sitting on it like Magugu. Quark Arbor, the caretaker Pokemon, a grass and electric type. Molly, pleased with your progress, upgraded your Quokka with the latest updates, allowing it to evolve into Quark Arbor. It has a microbiome on its back, as well as seed holders on its front that allows Quark Arbor to sustain multiple types of flora and fauna that choose to live on it. Molly was inspired by the Pokemon Torterra for this feature. While larger, it still keeps that friendly nature and smile that its pre-evolution had. It also has an increased seed synthesis capacity, able to provide a whole crop's worth of seeds instantly from one sample. Quark Arbor has the ability Seed Synthesis, which would allow this Pokemon to create seeds while it's not holding an item. Quark Arbor, once upgraded, would provide itself as not only an enhanced seed generator, but could also have berry trees and bushes placed on it to provide extra farming, and portable farming at that, as well as automatically watering and harvesting anything on it. This would also award you the Automation Badge, one of the 4 badges needed to complete the farming path of the game, and adding up to the 18 different types split between farms, gyms, and Titan battles, representing the electric type. Next is the Harvest Badge, awarded to you for harvesting enough of the highest quality produce of different kinds. Things such as berries, veggies, and Pokemon produce count towards it, and you'd be visited by a little fairy friend. Let's take a look at them. So Australian author May Gibbs made a book based on these little— oh god, not that! Sorry, those are the Banksia men. Maybe need to make a Pokemon based on that, but these are the Gumnut babies, cute little creatures from the Gumnut tree, and the basis of this next Pokemon. It's a very literal design, but a little more covered up. Those sort of fuzzy pollen puffs that gumleaf trees have, as well as gumleaf leaves for wings. It has a sort of Australian version of Celebi vibe. Celebi would be all prim and proper, and Gumnut would be like, "There you go, mate, can you go back in time to stop me from having that 6VB? The colours here just scream Australian, got that green and gold that we Aussies love. And I think this works sort of as a mythical for Ostara as well. Gumnort. The Gumnut Pokemon, a grass and fairy type. Gumnort only show themselves to people who show great care for their environment and the plant life around them. They're small and mischievous, but their pranks are never of ill intent, usually making plants overgrown to shock people at the size of the harvests. Gumnut lives in colonies with each other, sleeping inside tree hollows, protecting the livelihood of the tree and using their powerful abilities to stop anything that will try to harm the tree. Gumnut has a fluffy body that helps spread pollen around to help increase the growth of plants around its home. Gumnut has a new ability called Curious Magic, which increases the power of fairy and grass type Pokemon in battle and on Pokemon Farm. Gumnut would provide a boost to the fairy type and grass types positive without increasing the negatives, as it lazily floats around the farm. The next badge is the Soil Badge, awarded a little bit differently. This Pokemon would come in every now and then and judge your soil and the crops coming from, and if it agrees with your progress, it will join you on both the farm and battlefield. It's Old Man Marsoil. Look at these awesome cute moles. They're known as marsupial moles. They're a sort of golden mole found in central Western Australia. Here they're just munching on some kind of worm. I wanted it to be this sort of discerning grandpa, so I ditched the eyes in favour of fuzzy tufts like giant eyebrows and ear hair. And the bit here sort of looks like a grandpa's hat. It's one with the earth, so the top of the body and tail is earth itself, the kind of golden earth that Marso would love to see on your farm. I kept the colours here very earthy. I think the silhouette probably could benefit from some expanding, but for a Pokemon that's this literal giant earth mover, it sells it well enough. Marsoil, the Grand Mole Pokemon, a ground and fairy type. Marsoil only live in the perfect soil conditions, so they usually keep to the territories for life. However, some farms have said to have been blessed by Marsoil appearing and choosing to stay and protect the quality of their soil. It is a wise and passive Pokemon that rarely will have outbursts of anger, and will choose to take care of wounded Pokemon it finds. However, an angry Marsoil will tear apart anything in its way. Marsoil never leaves behind a trace of its burrowing and will only rarely take vegetables from gardens. If it does, many consider it a good sign. Marsoil has a new ability called Soil Keeper, which prevents the changing of terrain that this Pokemon sets while out in the field. On the farm, Marsoil would provide special patches of dirt each day. These patches would always guarantee the best quality from the crop placed upon them, and eating the crop would increase your energy by a lot. So before we continue, a little info on what a Pokemon raid actually is. Essentially, each night there'll be a chance for waves of Pokemon to attack. During the day you may get the odd bird or bug type pest, but this is large waves of Pokemon looking to destroy your farm, eat your crops and cause general mayhem. This is why you'd assign Pokemon as bodyguards. These are Pokemon that fight during the raid and just defend your farm. They would also look after and reactivate traps such as Pokeball traps or even rope snares. This would play out a bit like Starfall Street, but with many more Pokemon at once. Imagine it like a tower defense. Of course, you don't have to be there for it either, and you can let your Pokemon do their job instead. The enemy Pokemon in raids can be caught after the raid is over. Some of them have a higher farming level or even hidden abilities. And each day, the chance of a raid can happen with different types and even massive waves. All of this could be predicted by the TV in your house or a psychic type Pokemon for guaranteed knowledge on every detail. Certain special waves would happen that while they aren't especially dangerous to your farm, they are tests by this Pokemon to see if you're truly worthy of its services and gain the raid badge. So I wanted to have this Pokemon loosely based on the Australian cattle dog. Because of course if we want farm defense, who would be more loyal? I also want it to feel related to our other legendary dogs, Zacian and Zamazenta. This may be strange, but does anyone else absolutely love the look of uncrowned Zamazenta? Anyways, off topic. But I also wanted to have this sort of hero theme. It had this sort of cape that flows into the tail and a Batman kind of mask, but I didn't want to stray too far away from a sort of down-home cattle dog as well. My colours started like Zacian, but I felt it way too similar and I wanted the colours to represent the fighting type a bit better. The orange and white conveyed it a lot better and felt more Australian. I changed the top colour to orange and added the face pattern to give it a bit more legendary complexity, and honestly I'm super happy with how it looks. Caniscure, the protector Pokemon, a fighting type. Said to be the protector of farms, Caniscure only shows itself to farms it deems worthy protecting. It bonds with its farmer through a strange ritual involving the red chain around Caniscure's neck. If Pokemon raid the farm Caniscure is protecting, they better expect heavy resistance, as Caniscure is an incredibly adept fighter, but also a tactician. Its howl inspires other Pokemon sworn to defend, while horrifying Caniscure's enemies. In the past, Caniscure was key in the protection of Ostara from the initial wave of Beast Paradox attacks, along with the legends who protected the region. Caniscure's ability is Guard Dog. Caniscure would provide the ability to completely negate raids, or during raids give massive attack and special attack boost to allies. This one would be the hardest and most work to get, so it makes sense it would come with one of the most powerful abilities. That was a lot. I hope it wasn't too all over the place or confusing to you. Pokemon Farm would be a necessary part of the game to complete, but if you did things in the right order you wouldn't have to do too much, and for people who love Stardew, they could play this endlessly, and to make it better, there'd be random events on the farm such as the 4 seasonal Pokemon showing up, or NPCs visiting even for battles and more. There'd be a whole bunch of facets to this that would make this video 10 times longer, but it's more a proof of concept really. So Game Freak, if you want to collab on the next game with this, call me. So if you have any questions about Pokemon Farm, comment them down below and I'll answer them. And with that, let's end the video finally. As always, comment down below your fave Pokemon from the video and your thoughts on Pokemon Farm. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my stuff, and share it around as well. Next video, I've been working on some really fun type swaps. Not just like what if Pikachu was a fire type, but how about what if Gardevoir was dark fighting type and a goth? Yeah, I think that's enough of a pull for many. Thank you so much for watching this wild little video.